He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minutes!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes and Robin. This is the podcast where we discover that the real Caped Crusade was the friends we made along the way.
Oh.
I'm one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to comb through the credits so you don't have to, because why the hell would you want to do that? I am your other host, John Parker. Then let me say, actually, no, do always comb through the credits. There's a lot of interesting things in there.
I'd never watched the entirety of these credits until doing this, and there's a little thing at the end. At the end of the second minute, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was there. But we'll get to it next episode, I guess.
It's important as well, I think. I always sit through credits. 90% of the time. I'll admit, not always. But usually I sit through because I like that moment, that time to soak it in, to mull the film over, to sort of digest it, decompress if it's a stressful movie.
I had to boot out of the cinema during... Well, I didn't have to. It is tied into the subject at hand. But, I made a swift exit at the very beginning of credits the other week because I went to see the new Ty West horror movie, X.
Oh, yeah.
With Jenny Ortega, teenage Stephanie Palladino lookalike Jenny Ortega. And it was a good movie and stuff, but it was just like, oh, yeah, I'll enjoy that and stuff. Was walking out of it. And as I was walking past, it was like, yeah, the whole cinema was empty. And they had the big IMAX screen. The doors were just lying open. And it had a poster for The Batman.
Hey.
And I was just like, I'll see what scene it's on. I'll see if there's anyone, standing guard. And I'll just take a nosy to see what scene it's on to get a little fix,
Oh, yeah.
I wandered in, nobody around, except there's people in seats, but there was nobody there to, take tickets or, stop you.
Please tell me you just sat and watched the movie.
Well, that's exactly what I did. I came in, the Warner Brothers logo was coming up at the very beginning, and I was like, oh, I'll stick around for that, the I am the shadows monologue. I was like, oh, that's one of my favorite parts. And then there was a stand there. I was just like, yeah, it was really good. And I kind of realized, what would I be going home to? I'd just be sitting around the house doing nothing. So I was like,
that sounds sad and depressing.
No, well, to be fair, it was just like I would have stuff to do if I chose to do it, but I was in no rush to do anything. So I was kind of looking over at the seats and there's loads of empty seats. This is a big IMAX cinema. I could just watch this for free. And
you're admitting to a felony.
But after a while, I was just like, I just sat down and watched The Batman in IMAX for free. And then I was still very wary. I had that kind of thing of so I hadn't snuck into a movie since Scream 2 in 1998.
Oh my God, I don't even know if I ever have.
I just remember that though, because I had the terror of I was 11. And, you're not supposed to be watching this 18 certificate movie.
Oh yeah, you already think you're going to go to jail for that.
Yeah, but it was the whole, it was an uneasy experience because I was like, if they catch me, I'm screwed. But with this was just if they catch me, what are they going to do? Did you pay for a ticket? Nah. Or pretend that I don't think I'd even have bothered pretending I had a ticket. I would have been like, nah, okay, I'll go. Just walk out.
I'd be like, see what it is. I have a digital ticket and my phone's run out of battery.
Oh, that's good. I should have thought of that. I would use that one for next time.
They checked it on the way in, but yeah.
The thing is, I don't think you need to do it. Apparently, what I've discovered is it's a free-for-all. This was a Friday evening as well. It's you just walk out of one movie, you can just walk in whatever the hell you want. So.
I've always thought that because there's only really people checking. I don't know if this is an English thing, but at the main entrance to the screens, where all the screens are, there's people there. But once you're in, presumably you could just move from screen to screen.
Yeah. So
assuming it's not fully booked, but cinemas are rarely fully booked.
Yeah, but I took this though because it was literally walking in at the opening logo was this is a sign. This is the universe going go on, go right ahead.
And so second viewing.
Yeah, so second viewing, but I still did have the thing of, because the first time I saw the Batman, I loved the score so much, and I was aware that there was supposed to be something post credits. Which, if you've seen it, it's not really anything, really. But
No.
but this time though, I was like, I'm not taking any chances. So as soon as the first credit was like, all right, better get out of here.
Have you not seen that end bit then? At all?
Oh no, I did the first time I watched it.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I probably sat around just to soak in the music. But
Yeah.
this time was a real like, all right, I'm out of here.
Plus, you probably went and hopped on the bus or walked and put it on your headphones anyway.
As also will add that this was straight after X, which was a 2-hour movie. No bathroom break. So I sat through both of them without needing to go to the toilet.
You're insane.
So at the end, I was just like, okay, I better get out of here.
How can you do that?
I don't know. I'm always very like, I think maybe because I was just so like, I don't give no shits. Like I was so like,
Literally.
yeah, it was a kind of, usually I'd be like, I really want to see this movie and I'm worried I'm going to have to pee during it. And that will kind of bring about, like it was like what happened during Ghostbusters, like Afterlife, where I was like, I really don't want to have to miss any of this. And then as soon as the film started, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then you had to hold it. This one was kind of like, I've seen this already. I don't care. I'll do whatever I want.
Oh no, I've got to pee. Like literally, in an ideal situation, like if I'm at home watching a movie, I'm pausing that movie every 20-30 minutes. I need that toilet.
That is the wonder of the straight to streaming age, where you're like, there really is a kind of benefit of like, you can stop this and start it whenever you want. Like,
well, that's why
it's great.
I've got two ideas, which I may have brought up on the show before. Number one is reintroduce the interval, which I think every movie should have an intermission. But failing that, an elective where there's a button on the seat, and if the majority vote to pause the movie, it pauses, and you can all go and use the toilet.
I imagine I'd starting so much stuff.
No, but there's a limit on it. You can only do it once every half an hour.
Once every half? Oh my god! People, you never get out of there. During the Batman, that would be your entire day. We'll be trying to watch the Batman. People like every half hour just like, no, I need to go.
When I watch it at home, I'm gonna pause it every half an hour so I can get a drink, so I can go to the toilet, maybe grab some food, or just see how the cat's doing. 30 minutes is perfect.
Well. But anywho, we're here to talk about Batman credits specifically. We got minute 124, which opens with us ogling at the art department, and it ends a minute later with us musing on the music.
I like the way we both went for a similar kind of thing, but mine was cruder.
Oh.
I wrote down, we start with a Dick and end with a Richard.
We've had so many dicks in this movie, though. Well, one big one in particular.
Whoa, and we're not talking about ourselves.
But yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, we're seeing out we've basted this turkey long enough. We're kind of seeing out the end of Batman and Robin here. So I've got notes about stuff we haven't. Like, I've got a couple of things about credits. I've specifically put aside things where I was like, we haven't brought this up, as like, oh yeah, we forgot to mention that, or like minor corrections.
Okay, because that's good then. Nothing's going to cross over because I've got a couple of credits, but mostly loads of notes about music.
Well, that's the thing, because the music here is like it's still Robert Kelly, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we see the credits for the music start to come up, is what I mean. So
yeah. I will say too, like we probably mentioned it last time, but like obviously everything R. Kelly's done is horrific. Like the guy's a complete monster, and I am kind of slightly annoyed though for our purposes because, like back in the day, I was never an R. Kelly fan, but he was.
My sister was, I think.
I enjoyed his work as like him being like a meme, basically. He was like a human meme because he had, Trapped in the Closet.
Oh, that was a bit later though than his height.
Oh yeah, but the thing is though, because I think he then later said on like, no, that was always intended to be funny, and I'm like, nah, that's
he's
Tommy
pulling a Tommy Wiseau, yeah.
Exactly. It's just like you star that as dead, like this whole hip opera. you know, oh, it's going to be a story within this, you know, hip hop narrative and stuff. And it's like, that's like fine idea. You just executed it in a ridiculous manner. And then when you knew people were making fun of it, you swerved into making it ridiculous.
And then Lin-Manuel comes along and shows you how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I remember he did things though that like, I remember finding some of his stuff like properly hilarious because he seems so serious about the stuff. And he did that song Real Talk, remember, where it was like, it was basically him having a fight with his girlfriend over the phone.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, but it was just, you know, like, you gonna do what? I wish you would burn my motherfucking clothes.
Is it him as well? And that one, where one of them texts the other one, but it's not actually a text program. It's like Excel.
Yeah.
They're writing the text in Excel.
And there was but yeah, Real Talk was just like, everything about it was just like, every line was classic because it was just like, now tell me this, were the other guys there? Were the other guys there? Then tell me this, how the you know I'm with them other girls? And you're like, this guy's literally just written down an argument he had with someone.
Yeah.
And
Put it to a beat.
Yeah, put a minor beat to it and then sort of did a sing-songy voice. And this is the song now. It's like, that's terrible. But
it's genius. It's the evolution of rappers using voicemail messages as interludes on the album. Every rapper used to use voicemail messages that they either received or sent as jokes.
But I remember at the end of the video that was like a fight breaks out behind him. Because it looks like he just filmed it like in the middle of a poker game or something he was playing. And then these guys randomly start like beating the crap out of each other.
Boys being boys.
But yeah, I remember all the things. He had that song, Same Girl. Me and my friend Anthony used to make fun of that all the time. Because the video never made any sense. Like the song was him and Usher talking about how essentially they were dating the same. They found out they were dating the same woman. It was all, yo, Ush, what up, girls? Man, let me tell you about this girl, man. I think I love this girl. It was just a conversation between the two of them, again, done in a sing-songy voice. And, like, eventually he realizes, like, oh, we're dating the same person.
Damn.
And then at the end of the video, you find out that it's identical twins.
That's a good twist. I like that.
But at the same time, it's like, but no, it get down to literal thing, like their name and stuff is the same name in the song. It's like, how identical can you be? Like they work in they have the same job in the same building with the same name. Like you can't do that.
That's stretching believability, Kelly. Kelly or R? What should we call him for short?
Robert.
Robert. Yes. Okay.
But yeah, the amount of songs though that I didn't enjoy of art. Like I guess I did enjoy them because I found them funny.
Yeah,
but now,
I like that
just
era
like,
more. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that was great. Like I never was fuss about I Believe I Can Fly, but like I'm a Flirt, where it's just him like sing song talking about how much of an asshole he is in a club is like, this is ridiculous. All right, I'm in. But then everything since is like, oh no, I can never go near this guy again.
Yeah, I was going to say, not with what's happened as we discussed last week.
But as I said though, took down a few notes. I wanted to say like things we haven't brought up. Basically, one thing we did bring up throughout the season was that the original concept art of Mr. Freeze's lair had the sign Blinko outside. And we were like, why is it called Blinko? Like, I don't make any... that got nothing to do. Is it a DC character? But no. And we kind of left it then.
Sergeant Blinko, that famous character.
Tragically not. No, it turns out that Blinko was actually the working title of Batman Forever. That's why it was called Blinko.
How did we, of all people, not pick up on it? We have a lot of things we have to comb through, people. Cut us some slack.
These things just slip. The amount of work you do, and then someone still points out, like, you missed that. And you're like, oh, my God, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Think how much I have to do every week.
It's tough. We think we nail everything, and then we discover some new fact like 6 months after we're finished.
Another thing was we talked a lot about the Scooby-Doo connections. Way back, because there's a picture of painting of Shaggy Doo during the bike ride chase featuring Alicia Silverstone. And to completely forgot to mention that, of course, Alicia Silverstone would go on to star in Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Island. So that was the one, like, afterwards, I was like, oh, I forgot. Like, that would have been the main thing to bring up.
See, I've only seen the second Scooby-Doo once, so I didn't remember. I've seen the first Scooby-Doo, for some reason, about 6 times. It was always on TV.
I think I've seen the second one once, I think, but it was just one of those things. I remember even at the time being like, that's Elisa Silverstone. I don't seem to be giving her much to do. But then I think she is the villain at the end. I think it's
those
revealed.
movies, though, there's nothing for anyone to do. The cast is amazing. And they're terrible.
But it was one of those things of like, in retrospect, it's very obvious where like we've introduced this well-known actress and she doesn't seem to be doing most of the movie, and then now they're like, well, that's because she's going to turn out to be the villain at the end.
She's the villain, right? Yeah, that's always the case.
It's almost as if like Chris Nolan would see that and be like, yes, I've hired Marion Cotillard to play random businesswoman. And you're like, that's just a bit of a weird move, Chris. She's not a significant. You're talking about Oscar-nominated Marion Cotillard is just playing some rando in your movie.
My absolute favorite part of all that was I think the day she was announced sort of in the cast, you were just like, I know exactly who she is. But
also just wanted to bring up some of the additional tie-ins to Batman and Robin, because we talked a lot about the toys and a bit about the video game.
I want to know more about the adult toys.
No, but some of the legitimate other things that were tied into this movie. Because when this was coming out, this was like the studio system believed there was 3 surefire hits for the summer of 1997. This, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Speed 2.
Ha!
These were the things that are like, there's not a chance they're going to fail. And 2 of them very much did.
Well, I mean, you could argue it makes perfect sense for Jurassic Park and this to succeed. Why would they not, right? But Speed 2, that was set up to fail. How could you possibly be banking on that?
I think if you look at the notes about it too, they always talk about like, oh yeah, the Titanic was the underdog. No one thought that would do anything, and then it turned out to be the biggest movie of all time. Up until more recent years. But it's always the fact is like Men in Black is just like, what was that to people? Because that to me, that was the summer of '97. This is the summer of Men in Black. I was like, it was such a big deal to me. But
yeah, I mean.
And everyone still loves it. It's like it stood the test of time. It made bank. They made it spun off into a franchise. So
and
like,
that
how
song
is that not...
was everywhere as well.
Yeah, so that would, if I was talking about, if I was a studio going, like, this is going to be a surefire hit, I would be like Men in Black. Look at that. That's money in the bank right there. But I guess they didn't believe in it as strongly as you would assume back then. But...
I guess it must have kind of been like, well, it'll make a bit of money, and the success must have been a little bit of a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, okay, it's really resonated with people. Okay, that was my year actually. Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Jurassic Park 2, I was a Jurassic Park 1 kid, so 2's like, yeah, okay. But Men in Black, I think, was probably the biggest film among my age range then.
No, 100%. Plus, there's the fact that guys got Will Smith coming off Independence Day,
which had been probably the biggest movie for my age range the year before.
Yeah. And then Tommy Lee Jones, obviously from the beloved classic Batman Forever, coming in there as well.
At the time, right? I mean, I'd seen him in Batman, but I think as a stupid kid, I probably didn't really realize who he was. To me, it's like, oh, it's that guy who's in like with a fugitive. That's even though I didn't watch that, I knew what it was.
But the thing is, he won an Oscar for The Fugitive. So that's going to be like, again, to the studios, you'd think they would be like, this guy's one of the biggest TV stars going at the minute, Will Smith. He's also a proper pop star. And he was also in one of the biggest movies ever last year. Him and the recent Oscar winner, Tommy Lee Jones, are doing like a crazy kooky movie about aliens.
Yeah, and it's the height of aliens being a thing. X-Files is brilliant.
Yeah, and it's produced by Steven Spielberg. How do you not think this is going to be a giant? But I guess they were like, no, the only 3 that are going to make massive bank are The Lost World, Speed 2, and Batman and Robin. Makes perfect sense to assume that would make tons and tons of money. And because they assumed that, they got, in terms of tie-in partnerships, promotional partners, they raised an additional $125 million to what was already a $130 million budget for the general making of the movie. This included Kellogg's, who slapped Batman across 13 serials.
Wow.
Not quite the same extent of... I remember we talking about it in Batman Returns, the Batman Returns cereal.
Mm-hmm.
That had like those little bran flakes, but then like, it was like marshmallow cats and top hats.
I'd have loved that. I don't think that was out over here, though, was it?
If it was, I don't recall it. No, but again, it's just so weird to think like the Batman Returns had that like as a tie. Because
Yeah, the dark one.
Yeah, that one's like a really warped, perverted mutant film.
That should have had the sex toys.
And but yeah, Batman Robin, they're just like, no, we'll just put him on the box. So you'd have like a box of cornflakes and a Batman button his way in.
That's the kind of thing they used to do over here a lot. I think maybe America, because you know what America's like, and I mean that in a positive way. In America, you get all these themed cereals. Over here, it'd just be like, just put some character on the front of the box for this month. There you go. Cool. Done.
Yeah. So it was just like, and then you get like, the thing was, looking into this, I seen they had bat discs, which were Pogs.
Everyone had their own rip-off Pogs, yeah. What were those other ones? Tazos.
Exactly, yeah. I think I was more into the Tazos. I think they were more readily available.
That's because they came in crisps.
Yeah. Or a little, like, this was it like chocolate bars, I think, used to have them too. But
Oh, they might have done, yeah.
then also QVC, apparently, were hawking Batman merchandise on air. Which is like, I thought QVC was just for old people or people like the unemployable up in the at 3 a.m. But apparently, no, they were out there. Maybe that's who the target demographic was, to be fair.
I once bought one thing from QVC.
Oh, what was it?
In the year 1997, I purchased the...
What's it, 97, the year Batman and Robin came out?
Yes.
I purchased some bat discs that I could look up.
The
Oh,
very
that's what I
same.
meant to say. Yeah, the bat discs they're Pogs. And when I saw them, I was like, oh, I had those. Like, it was a real, like, that was a thing I definitely had. But sorry, go on. So,
Maybe I did have them, not from QVC. Maybe I did. I'm not sure. I had a lot of things like that. You know, I used to collect coins and all kinds of... I had Turtles coins. But QVC, yeah, I bought a WWF album of the entrance themes.
to be fair, not a bad purchase.
It was a good purchase. And when it arrived, it came with a giant flag of Shawn Michaels.
Ah.
But if anyone remembers Shawn Michaels, of course, his whole gimmick was he thinks he's sexy. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. So he's in a very provocative pose on this flag. And I'm sure my dad was a bit like, what's this all about?
To be fair, though, if you look at any wrestling...
Yeah, but he was especially like... I mean, he posed nude for Playgirl. And then found out, it's mostly read by gay men, okay?
He's like, hey, I got this flag coming out, you guys might be interested.
Well, yeah, sell it to the right audience.
You know what we should do, John? Make yourself a Spotify playlist of all those entrance themes and make sure to put in Tarzan Boy to keep it up to date.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can still get a hold of that CD, I think. I don't know I don't think it's streaming anymore.
QVC have still been plugging it every night.
It's the same
for the
one.
last 25 years.
Well, this is going to be
still comes with a Shawn Michaels flag.
This is going to be the longest bloody episode ever because we've barely touched on this, but I don't care. Let's look it up. WWF, the music.
They must have had it like since then. There must be like you can get WWF or WWE now.
They update it They used to update it every year, and now it's like a Spotify playlist.
Now that's what I call WWE.
No, this one was WWF the Music Volume 2. So the track listing, you have Dark Side for The Undertaker, Hell Frozen Over for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Ties in to Batman and Robin too.
Yeah, there's a theme, yeah. Pearl River Rip for Ahmed Johnson, Wildcat, which was for Mark Miro and Sable, even though it's more Sable. I mean, a Sable is a cat, but there you go. You Start the Fire, Bret Hart.
I love that you're getting into like Steve Buscemi and Ghost World levels of like, well, technically that would be more to do with Sable, the character. It's more of a ragtime medley, I would say.
Well, I always felt bad for Mark Miro because nobody cared about him. They only cared about his wife, who's now married to Brock Lesnar instead. But there you go. You Start the Fire, Bret Hart, Mastodon, Vader, Ode to Freud, Mankind. That was my favourite one because it's so goddamn dark. That's when Mankind wasn't a comedy character. That's when he was based on Hannibal Lecter.
Mm.
And he had a weird thing where he would sit in the ring, he'd get in the ring and he'd be rocking back and forth on the floor, and he'd start pulling his own hair out. For real. He just was like, screw it, I'm that into the character, I'm just going to pull my hair out and like throw it everywhere. He's meant to look like insane. What else we got? Dude Love, which is also Mick Foley. That's his hippie character. Nation of Domination, Farouk. Destiny, Rocky Maivia. It's The Rock. Snap, Psycho Sid. Dangerous, Ken Shamrock. Can't Get Enough, Flash Funk. I Know You Want Me, Sonny. The original.
I kind of want to edit this into an ad for this CD.
Let's do it like QVC.
Yeah, put little snippets of the songs in every time you say a title.
Please do. And then, rounding it out, track 15, Sexy Boy, Shawn Michaels.
Save the best for last.
Oh, yeah. And I think this is the one, I'm trying to remember, this is the one Shawn is singing, I think. Yeah, because there was a slightly different one before.
Sexy boy.
No, well, most of the versions you hear are Shawn singing. It's just he did have another one where his manager at the time, Sherry Martel, sang it.
It's
Where she's like,
the idea, though, is just like, yeah, Sean, stick to the wrestling, you know?
Well, he's got a good voice. You know.
Yeah. If QVC can sell it, you know, then it must be okay.
I was going to say, how did we get onto that? And then you just reminded me, QVC.
Yes. But going back to some of the other random Batman and Robin
This is going to have so much bonus stuff.
Another thing was Amoco, the petrol stations.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
They got in on Batman and Robin Mania. And they brought out, which you can still buy on eBay. What was they specifically called it?
Please tell me it's a special type of petrol.
No. The Batman was on the petrol pumps. You see pictures of him like painted on and stuff like that. But no, it was something. They have a specific term for it in America, but it's a torch for looking into your engine.
Oh, have they got a word for that? I think over here we just call it a torch for looking into your engine.
Yeah, it's a long, proper, thin torch. And the things you look it up on eBay, you're like, oh, you can still get this thing. It comes in a case with the Batman and Robin logo emblazoned upon it. You open it up, it's all padded out. You know, like it's like a hitman's suitcase full of guns.
Oh, we don't care about cars over here enough. Yeah.
And then in the middle of it was a random torch. And they're like, this is the Batman and Robin tie-in torch. Like,
how much?
Surprisingly affordable. You know, I was kind of shocked at it. Like, probably about the same price it would have been, you know, back then. I imagine like, you know, $50 because I imagine they'll jack it up a little bit.
I want one. Get me one, please. As a kid, I used to play with torches. They were toys to me. I'm not even kidding. I had torches.
It makes you sound really
toys.
sadistic. They were toys to me.
Toys to me. No, I did. I could spend all day. Just give me a torch. There you go. That's it. My day's sorted.
Yeah. And one big thing we didn't bring up, and it's just typical to go along with Batman and Robin.
Oh, typical way.
Because, you know, the movie is a legacy of failure, basically. And they did, when the movie came out, Six Flags over Texas.
Is that theme park?
Yes. They brought out a Batman and Robin The Chiller, which is a giant, very ambitious roller coaster.
Oh, I expected it with that name. I thought it was going to be a drink.
No.
You know, like that thing at the cinema, the ice blast that you get here.
No, tragically not. It was just a big, crazy roller coaster. And I think they called it like a dual track thing because you could go on, one was painted red and one was painted blue. And they would go at the same time.
Oh.
But in opposite directions.
Oh, no, that scares me.
Well, the thing is, it should scare you.
Oh.
Because this roller coaster was a disaster.
Oh, no.
Opens in 1997. 4 days after it opens, it has to shut down for a year.
A year?
Yeah, for a whole year. Apparently, the average life cycle of a roller coaster is 25 years.
That makes sense to me, yeah. Okay.
You know, if you maintain it and you update it, you can keep it going for 25 years.
Then again, we've got here one of the oldest ones going. Because I went on it in Hemsby.
Hemsby.
Yeah. Let me
This sounds like you're just really going into an Alan Partridge story. Now, like, oh, to Hemsby.
Well, you know, I did go to Hemsby. Was it actually in Hemsby or was it in Yarmouth? Hang on. Oh, it's just it's Great Yarmouth, which is like next to Hemsby. So it is it's called the roller coaster.
Well, points for originality there. I
It was
guess.
built in 1932.
Yeah.
And I went on that. It's all wood and it's all gravity based. So it pulls you up for ages at the start, insanely high into the sky, and then releases you, and from that point on, all the ups and downs are done from that initial gravity drop. There's no electricity power in it.
Well, that was the main issues that come across with this. So, the average lifetime of a roller coaster is 25 years. And this shut down in 10 years. Within the first year, it was already considered a disaster. Because
That just scrap it at that point.
Well, I think that because they have so much investment, they're like, we can make it work. We can still make it work, right? Where the whole idea is like, all right, so you got these two dueling roller coasters, and they meet halfway. They're going in opposite directions and stuff like this. But massive amounts of power were required for it, which would cause rolling blackouts throughout the park.
Oh, see, that's the number one thing. If you're going to do this, make sure you've got the power to power it. Have you never played a strategy game on PC?
Basically invested millions into this, this thing that will, boost capacity. We can have on double the amount of people.
There you go.
And then they had to shut down one track pretty much permanently.
So
because-
completely ruining the whole gimmick.
Yeah, so the gimmick's gone. And then the other problem with it was that, like you're saying there, John, you mentioned that other roller coaster, that, some roller coasters can survive on this, the gravity of the initial ups and downs and stuff.
Yeah, because it's an older one. There's no loops or anything. So.
Yeah, but this one couldn't. And then they built the boosters that would, kind of fire up to kind of keep any, the coaster starts to lag. They'll have a little booster to give it a jolt to keep it going. They built it too high. So basically, people were constantly getting stuck in it. They could never reach the thing, and it would just end up what they call volleying. And it would just end up just dead in the water.
Oh, my God. That's the number one thing a coaster can't do.
Yeah. And so for this, they were and they try to have all these zero gravity G rolls, but they never had the momentum to make it through again because they didn't have the boosters because they were built too high in the goddamn thing, so you couldn't get up to them. And then even if you did, then it wasn't enough. Like it was just, so basically the thing didn't have enough. It required way too much power. Had maybe like a fraction of the electricity required. Spent an absolute bomb on making it, then had to cut the amount of people who could get on it in half. So there was never going to make a return on it. And they never did. Like after 10 years. And the guys on it reviewing it on YouTube, they're like, if you go on it, if you get a good ride and nothing goes wrong, it's pretty good. But it's just basically like, yeah, most people had bad times on it. And it was kind of just like an eyesore from like this, bomb of a movie, the notorious Batman and Robin and Six Flags. Like, there's the Batman and Robin ride. It doesn't work as well.
Well, that's why you say, they poured loads of money into it. Okay, but I think because of all of these factors combined, just bin it. Like,
So
it's probably cheaper to start over.
Yeah, and it just never saw a return on investment. It was just like, but it just is like the fact of like the Batman and Robin's got so notorious for its toyetic elements, and yet we've talked many times about the toys were kind of like they wasted a lot of them as well. So a lot of the ones that brought out were really stupid, and then things like Mr. Freeze's car, they didn't even make into a toy.
The obvious ones, yeah.
Yeah, and then to have like the tie-in products got as bad as like a petrol pump tie-in torch, and then the giant roller coaster they brought out to go along with it didn't even friggin' work. So, yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that it's got a legacy, the movie. So at least it's on, it's on point. And now the final thing I wanted to bring up, because we did it with pretty much everybody else. I know we had a whole pretty lengthy bonus episode of all the roles that Uma Thurman was supposed to be cast in, but passed on and stuff. And we talked about Barney's almost roles and George Clooney's almost roles and stuff like that. But we never talked about Alicia Silverstone's the roles that she was considered for, but never went for. And quite a few interesting ones. Rogue in X-Men.
Oh, I could totally see that. Yeah.
But at the same time, because I think Rogue, I'm going through the X-Men movies again, and it's weird because Anna Paquin plays Rogue, and I had a massive crush on Anna Paquin when I was a kid. Like, properly loved her, and the first time I watched that first X-Men movie in well over 10 years, and it was just like, oh, she's like a baby in this. Like it was.
It's
so
weird
like,
when you go back and
yeah, it's just like no, man, and it makes it even weirder then because like Logan, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is like he's like an older brother to her. But there's bits in X-Men 2 where they try to make it out that maybe he had a thing for her. So you're like, nah, man, don't. Like, because Paquin, you're too young. You're too young. Sorry. And it's the same thing too with another movie that Alicia Silverstone was supposed to feature in that also starred Anna Paquin was Almost Famous. She was in consideration for the role of Penny Lane back when like Brad Pitt was going to be in it and stuff.
I could see that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Although at the time, it's like, I think Almost Famous is perfect the way it is because it's just like it suits having a cast of nobodies.
Oh yeah, I'm not suggesting they should have changed it, but yeah.
Yeah, but it is that it worked so well that every time I see, if I see any of the cast of it, even Kate Hudson, I'm still like, oh, there's Penny Lane. Like they became those parts. It's like, oh, there's Billy Crudup, like, oh, it's Russell from Almost Famous and stuff. But if Brad Pitt and Alicia Silverstone, you would know exactly who they were. Plus, at that point, like, because I've seen when they first introduced Penny Lane, she's so mysterious, you don't even know what age she is.
Yeah.
And, like, Alicia Silverstone, you're like, well, she's like 25 at that point. So, like, I know exactly what age she is because we've seen her kind of grow up on screen and stuff.
That's true. That's a good point.
So, but then, and Rogue as well, because I think Rogue's supposed to be like a little kid. That's why I brought up how young Anna Paquin was. It's like, oh, their version of Rogue was like, she's like supposed to be a teenager. But at that point would have been 2000. And again, Alicia Silverstone would have been in her mid-20s. Well, and you'd know that she was in her mid-20s as well. So
if they were doing it slightly different and not like they did with Robin in these movies, if they made the character a little bit older, she would have been really good as Rogue, I think. But would it be too similar to other, like this?
The thing is, though, like Rogue was always supposed to be. Like my memories of Rogue from the cartoon was like, oh, she's a lady in her 30s, maybe even early 40s.
Yeah.
And the MCU, they're gonna need a Rogue when they do X-Men. So, who's still out there and is age appropriate?
Me.
One big one actually is quite interesting. Is that she was considered for the Drew Barrymore part in Scream. That one they want because the whole thing in Scream is like they were kind of homaging Psycho.
Yeah.
They had like, oh, Janet Leigh, the star of the movie, gets killed a quarter of the way in.
And you want it to be someone quite big as well.
Yeah. And Drew Barrymore for them, because I think she was originally signed on to play Neve Campbell's part, Sidney Prescott. And then she said she wanted to play Casey Becker. And I think when Drew was signed on to play Sidney, they were looking at Alicia Silverstone because they thought that'll be the sell. We'll sell it on Alicia Silverstone and then getting killed off. And then it's just like, well, Drew Barrymore's also quite famous, so it still works. But I think particularly because coming straight off of Clueless, it would have been much more of a kick to the throat, basically, instead of getting killed in the opening scene. Drew Barrymore's had that kind of bad girl reputation, so it kind of like, well, it's a shock, and because you thought this was your bankable star, and you killed her. But it's not like, oh, Cher Horowitz got killed. Oh, my God. The thing is then, they went also in for Sarah Michelle Gellar's part in Scream 2, also offered to Alicia Silverstone.
I could see her playing any of these, to be honest.
Yeah. Jenny McCarthy, Jim Carrey's ex, in Scream 3, also offered to Alicia Silverstone. To pass on all of these, although she did allow herself to be credited in Stab. In Scream 2, there's the movie within the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you have Heather Graham plays Casey Becker. And I think if you look at the credits, it says that Alicia Silverstone is playing Tatum, who was Rose McGowan's character. And it's like, oh, well, I guess she did. She kind of started a Scream.
Maybe that's an in-joke.
Legally Blonde.
Again, I could see that.
I can see it, and I know she would nail it, but it would be Clueless again. It's the same. It's kind of heightening Clueless, isn't it? So it's it's also like you don't get Reese Witherspoon without Legally Blonde. Like she was around, but she wasn't like stratospheric Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I was like really aware of her before that movie or after that movie.
I think she was all in like the little indie dramas, and then Cruel Intentions, I guess. But like, she doesn't become. It could be your attitude. It depends on your attitude towards Reese Witherspoon. Like, would you rather have her as an entity in the world, or would you rather Alicia Silverstone have 2 giant hits under her belt, like Clueless?
Don't make me choose.
I think Reese Witherspoon is perfect in Legally Blonde, so I think the world benefited by her playing that part, rather than being like, oh, this is kind of like Clueless 2 in a weird way.
Electric
I suppose.
Boogaloo.
Yeah. And then Bewitched, which was, went on to Nicole Kidman, went on to star in it. # everything's connected. And the big one for us, John, and I'm curious to hear your reaction.
Oh, God.
She was considered for the role of Enid in Ghost World.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Of course, famously played by Thora Birch,
No.
who recently was supposed to be in Tim Burton's Wednesday Addams TV show, departed for personal reasons,
Her dad,
and has
probably.
been replaced by Christina Ricci, which is like, I guess it worked out then, because you want Christina Ricci in that show, basically, no matter who she's playing.
And this is the first one I'm going to say I actually couldn't see her playing Enid. Maybe she would have been good at it, but Thora Birch, she was made for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's her role. Even though she apparently whinged about a bunch of stuff on him, yeah.
I think that in the early days of Ghost World, they were pitching like Jennifer Love Hewitt and stuff. It was like, the cute, established star that everyone really loves. And it's like, you need someone who's a genuine bit of an oddball outsider.
Yeah.
like Thora Birch.
Whereas
basically.
you could have subbed one of them in for Scarlet. Not that I want you to, but you could have, but you couldn't put them in the Enid role.
Yeah, it'll be really distracting though, because Scarlett Johansson works in that because she wasn't Scarlett Johansson then. She was just like some rando.
I had no clue who she was. That was my first viewing of it.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6 years before she becomes like really big. But if it was like Alicia Silverstone and Thora Birch, you'd be like, why isn't Alicia Silverstone in half of this movie? She just seems to disappear after the first 20 minutes. But
because everybody likes the weirdo.
Yeah. I think Ghost World is a perfect movie, is a masterpiece unto itself. And a lot of that has to do with the casting of Thora Birch. So, I don't know what kind of world we'd be living in if Alicia had made that movie and it had been a hit, and maybe it would have revived her career and sent it in a completely different direction.
Yeah, maybe it would have sent the whole world in a different direction. Maybe we wouldn't have COVID. Maybe the world wouldn't be ending in war.
It's a true butterfly effect choice. But yeah, that was the grand old list of almosts for Alicia Silverstone.
I love that. Good to know.
Again, these are notes I made several weeks ago, and was like, didn't get to bring them up, but like, we're in credits now, and I don't want to be going out. I did a similar list way back in '89 for Jack Nicholson that I never got to use, and I was like, damn it!
Well, we can do a bonus episode on it.
Oh yeah, totally.
But not right now, because we're like 40-odd minutes recording. And I haven't even started mine.
Well, that's pretty much me done. So if you would have at it.
I mean, I did look up a bunch of, like, the crew, but a lot of them didn't do... I don't mean this as a diss. A lot of them didn't have particularly standout things for us to discuss. Although I did really love this credit here for Inferno Artist. That is the coolest title I've ever heard. And the Inferno Artist's name is the coolest name I've ever heard. Fortunato Fratasio.
So he showed up and said, like, what does he do? He's the Inferno Artist. Like, what is that? What is that? Like, nobody knows, but like, that's a cool title. And look at the guy's name. Like, you want him on this set.
Hell yeah. And look, here's more proof. I could not find, I did loads of research. I could not find what that job is. And the British Film Institute list this as his only credit.
Who?
What is it? What's he doing?
I don't know, maybe there was an Inferno and he died.
Oh God, oh no. We always
had to cut it out of the movie. They're like, oh yeah, get rid of that whole Inferno.
Oh, maybe it's like, it's a secret thing for like, oh, that's the arsonist who burnt the set down. The Inferno Artist,
Or maybe there was a cut climax where you thought they defeated Mr. Freeze, but when Batman is shining the sun down in Gotham, it does start a citywide inferno.
Oh.
And they need who could set fire to the whole city? Fortunato Fratasio.
I absolutely loved it. The only other ones, I mean, I looked up some of the companies. They were a bit boring. Like the miniature work people also worked on Godzilla. So, the US Godzilla. That was okay.
I did see that the additional digital visual effects was done by Cis Hollywood. So thank you, Cis Hollywood.
The cis are at it again.
If any movie you shouldn't have any involvement in, Cis Hollywood. It's the homoerotic masterpiece.
Yeah, this queer classic. Stay out of it, cis people.
It's like Joel's like, I have to give the sisses like a
Throw
like
a bone.
yeah. It's like, oh, thanks, sis. It's like all the manly men. They're just like, oh, okay, Joel, yeah, no problem.
Now, I did look up the assistant director here, John. Oh, I'm going to mess up the name. I'm sorry. Radulovic. I think it is John Radulovic. Correct me if I don't know, Phil. If you're listening, you can probably correct me on that. It sounds like it's from your kind of area of the world. He was also the assistant director for 21 Jump Street, the OG, not the,
Oh, I was gonna say like the I don't know why in my mind like the Brie Larson movie where she's like in it for like 10 minutes.
Everyone, well, I was going to say everyone always thinks of the new movie, but yeah, they don't think of Brie Larson. Babylon 5. National Treasure and Beverly Hills 90210. So look, you're getting someone who's got a strong pedigree of television. But he did direct a few things. He directed 4 things, but I haven't seen any of them, which is a shame. Now I feel like we need to watch them. He did Super Force. I mean, that sounds like something we would watch. Dead at 21, which is not a sequel to 21 Jump Street.
That would be great if it was.
Dead at 21.
It was like 21 Jump Street ends with like Johnny Depp and was it Richard Grieco? Was he the other guy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
getting killed, and then there's like, hey, it's them in the afterlife.
Yeah, that would be a good follow up. Yeah, they're ghosts.
And it's them going, we're not actually 21.
Echoes of Silence, which is the most generic title I could possibly imagine, and Owen Smith, Anonymous. Ooh, exciting. But he is a big producer, right? So he hasn't done a lot of directing there. Big producer. He's produced Californication. You're going to love this one. X-Men 2.
Hey.
Right? Yeah.
That's in my go-through of the X-Men movies. I remember like enjoying X-Men 2 when it came out and been like, oh yeah, I think I was too close to the cartoon. So I was like, it was good.
Everyone seems to pick it as the best one, don't they?
Well, that was the thing. And going through it now, and I hadn't seen it again in a couple of years, but every time I've watched it, I've always been like, yeah, it is pretty good. Watching it again really recently, it's like, this movie is like a masterpiece. Like, everything in it is great.
But you know my penchant for beginnings and ends. I like the first movie.
This one, it's just everything about it. Once you remove I don't know if it's because I've had so many mediocre X-Men movies after. But it's just like once you've kind of got a distance from the cartoon, and like I've read the X-Men comic in a long, long time, except that I tried some of those newer ones, and it was just like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, the whole island they live on and stuff now. But just rewatch it's like, everybody is just on fire in this thing, and it's just like this is a perfect X-Men movie. Well, except for the sidelining of Cyclops. Found out, though, apparently he had loads more scenes that they cut as well.
Oh, that's even more gutting for the really big fans then. Because Cyclops is supposed to be like the main guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get his. I'm sure he'll get his due once the MCU rolls into town.
Oh, you can put it all down to John Radulovic for that movie being good. Then I'm sure it was all about the producer.
Well, I know the Bryan Singer. Talking of controversial people,
yes,
Bryan Singer and there's a lot of complacency going on around the first movie and X2, a lot of and X3. Everyone associated with the big head honchos involved with it are all scumbags, basically. So
yes, probably best not to go that route.
But John Radulovic. Maybe he was the lone gem. He's like, no, I'm the one decent man working on this thing.
That's it. That's how he kept getting work. I mean, he's done loads more. He's done House of Lies, Ray Donovan, all kinds of stuff he's produced. So big producer.
Why must you turn this podcast into a House of Lies?
Oh my God! Why didn't I think of that? God damn it! How dare!
I wonder how many on set of that show, how many times those jokes were made.
I don't think most people like The Simpsons as much as us. I know it was one of the biggest shows ever, but most people I meet can't quote it. You know, they just go, oh yeah, it's funny. You know, Homer, like he's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm all noted out.
Me too. We will head off into the dark, dark night. So do come and speak to us. All the usual. I'll do a proper promo on the next episode for you people. You know where to find us. Come and join us next minute. See you in a couple of days, Batmites.
Next time, we're outie. Well, almost. Okay, so we've gone from like dawn till dusk with this definitively dismal Dark Knight, and there's no more to muse except the scroll on copyright. But rather than end on a whimper for Schumacher's lost stanza, get ready for like a totally bodacious Batminute bonanza. We've a deux-part denouement to deliver this week, Bat Babes. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.